This is Holly Crumrine's book review of part 3 of Andy Crouch's book, Culture Making. This part was, I thought, the best summation of the previous two parts, the first part being strictly about culture, and the second part more about how God uses culture and how he used it in the Bible and its eventual culmination. And this was kind of how our part in that works together. Chapter 12 is why we can't change the world. Somewhat of a putting our head right on our shoulders and what limited power we have by ourselves to, in one fell swoop, change the whole world. We can do a lot in our own limited spheres to change the world. The examples he uses, like around the dinner table, but those are limited, and there are temptations that come along with trying to change the whole world anyway. Chapter 13 was the traces of God, and he kind of outlines how can we tell that God's hand is being used in history. Chapter 14, about power. I really enjoyed this chapter with the Stony Mountain and the Dump Dwellers, and how their horizons of possibility were extended because of help they received and the information they received. His points are especially about service and stewardship, how we are stewards of God's power, and therefore we have power, but we should be investing it in places where he would be also. Chapter 15 about community, the idea of 312 and 120, the smallest nucleus of the change, and then the people that we really use to enforce that change, and then the wider community, and basically how it only starts with 3 people, give or take. And finally, grace, chapter 16, which how our deep, to quote the end of the book, how our deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. And he does a good job not saying that you have to be in missions work, you have to be in ministry, but for some people, web programming is going to be where their joy and their purpose are multiplied through the work of grace. So I really did enjoy this book, and especially being a 25-year-old married with a baby, I feel like we're right on the cusp of where all of this is going to come together for us. And he provokes us to think about how we will fit into the world, what our goals should be, how we should be evaluating the goods we take in and the cultural goods we produce, and what horizons we want to be working toward and away from.